All right, here we go. Today we are doing problem solving and data analysis. We're doing the first three sections of this new section. So this new unit, we're doing the first three sections. When you came in, you did see, if you notice at the bottom right-hand corner of the page, page 1T. All of them that end with T's are the new unit, okay? Problem solving and data analysis. If there's an S at the bottom right-hand corner, that's what we did from last time, okay? And that's that passport to advanced math. So you are accountable for 8 on through what? I think it was 10 or something like that. 8, 9, and 10. And those are the printed copies of what I didn't have for you last time that you now have, okay? Now, what I'm going to do is, by topic, you will be able to see these problems, and instead of turning homework on papers, just for the sake of practice, just for the sake of accountability, as far as your side of the bargain, as far as the homework is concerned, I'm going to do all the homework for the rest of 9 weeks solely on Delta Math, okay? So the quiz that you guys have next week on Tuesday, kind of like what we did, and a lot of you did the 50%, and you changed your quiz to 100, and I appreciate that. I'm going to do the same, but I'm not going to have 100 problems up there, okay? I will have enough that shows enough practice for the topics that you're going to be quizzed on next time, okay? So the topics that you're going to be quizzed on basically are all the papers that you grabbed today on your way in. Topics, I believe, 8 through 10 from the last unit, and then 1 through 3 from this new unit, okay? So when you come in the next class, please be prepared, because again, it's going to be all period, and it'll just be the CFA that you do, and it's going to be a 40-minute quiz, and it'll be a 40-minute quiz, okay? So this homework is not optional, okay? I don't want you doing the paper homework anymore. To me, the paper is still important. So I would still look at it if you wanted that extra practice, because the paper has really, really good examples that highlight a lot of the simple errors people make, okay? But again, I think Delta Math is a good resource, and at the same time, you're getting more practice meaningfully, in my opinion, from Delta Math. Okay, so we'll be looking at ratios, proportions, and percents, multi-step percentage problems, and then statistical data analysis. Let's go ahead and begin. So these three concepts have been a part of your math class since elementary. And the things that people struggle with sometimes are proportions and percents. The level of difficulty may have varied throughout all these years, but nonetheless, these are ones that people struggle with. Okay? Our last PSAT practice that we took on Saturday, I feel that there were a lot of proportions, there were a lot of percentages, and there were a lot of these types of problems that I feel was the reason why we didn't necessarily increase, because we hadn't yet reviewed or gone over it, okay? The big magical number today is this right here. Okay, it all revolves around 1. And you're going to see that here in just a bit. The other big buzzwords are these. Ratios versus odds. Okay, those are commonly missed problems because of just the understanding. Which of the following? Please be ready. I'm going to call you randomly. Now I'm just going to jump. Please be ready to pick up where the next person, where the last person just left off. All right, so we're going to start with, let's start with Jacob. I have a table that has SeaWorld, Fiesta, Texas, and the total amount of ages 12 to 13, 14 to 15. And there's a total of 200 randomly selected people. Now we want to know, Jacob, help us set this up. Which of the following is closest to the percent of students who prefer SeaWorld over Fiesta, Texas? How would you set this up?
I would take the total number of people who like SeaWorld,
which is 89,
and divide that by 200.
Okay, so 89 over 200. With the calculator, just get well versed with it. Putting 89 divided by 200, and then doing control enter gives us 0.445. Okay, so with the calculator, we get 0.445. What, Jacob, is that percent?
44.5%.
44.5%. So we're going to come back here, and our answer, anyone, would be which one? B. All right. Let's go with Zach. If San Antonio expects 50,000 students between the ages above to visit over spring break, how many of them will probably be at Fiesta, Texas? How would you figure that out?
Use that for proportion. So you could do 111 over 200 times x over 50,000.
Okay, so equals x over 50,000 for sure. And guys, I want you to be well versed with this calculator. Menu 3.1 brings up this solve feature. Okay, so get the practice right now in class. And we will go to menu 3.1, control divide 111 over, what did you say, Zach?
50,000. Oh, no, sorry, 111
Over 200
200
is equal to control divide x over 50,000. And then comma x, you always have to tell it what to look for. And you get 27,750. So anyone. Equals button is right, it's to the left of 7. So go to 7 and it's 2 to the left. Okay, so our answer for that, anyone? D.
You could have also just looked at the fact that it's the only one over half.
It's the what?
The only one over half of 50,000.
Yeah. However you want. There's many ways to look at it for sure. All right. Shh. Next one. Jackson. Based on the table, what is the ratio of 14 to 15-year-olds who like SeaWorld to those that are 14 to 15-year-olds who like Fiesta, Texas? Jackson, how do you set this up? 35 to 65. Is this a ratio or is this odds? Ratio. So this is a ratio, could also be written as 35 to 65, which also could be written as this. Whoops. So it would reduce Jackson to what? 7 to 13. Divide both by 15, right? And it would reduce to 7 to 13. Now 7 to 13 with ratio, make sure this is in your notes somewhere, is 7 to 13 like this. But if I said 7 to 13 as far as odds are concerned, Christian, what would that look like? Matthew, take over please. Who knows odds? What would odds look like? 7 out of 20 and 13 out of 20. My bad if you didn't know it, okay? So odds are different. Odds are not the same as ratios. We have to figure out how much total are there. So it's like saying 7 wins to 13 losses. Your odds of winning would be 7 out of 20 games played. You with me? Whereas 13 losses would be 13 out of 20 games played. So the second that extra step with odds is that you have to figure out how many games were played, and that's your total piece. It's still related to ratios, but they're odd interpretations of ratios. Okay? All right, so now let's go and move on to let's do this one. According to the table, what is the percent increase? This is huge. From 12 to 13-year-olds to 14 to 15-year-olds, we'll go with Matthew, who like Fiesta, Texas more than SeaWorld. What numbers am I looking at, Matthew?
Fiesta, Texas. The 12 to 13-year-olds.
Help them out, guys. What number would that one be? Say again? 46. And what is the other number going to be? 65. Now, what I'm about to show you is big, okay? A lot of people, the way they set this up can be easy or difficult to understand, okay? The way that I kind of see it is this is where I'm starting, And this is what I'm going to end up with. So I'm going to need to multiply 46 by something to get it to 65. So in the calculator or by hand, you could divide this by 46 and you'll see a certain number that is in decimal form. So we're going to do what again? Divide what? 65 divided by 46. And you get 1.413, right? Okay. Here's the thing. The magical number today is this. So, is this showing an increase in percent, like a tax or an additional fee, or is this showing a decreased discount? Which one of it is it showing? Increase. This is showing the increase because the magical number is 1.00. Okay? So this has an increase of 0.413, which is what's the answer? 41.3%. Yep. Okay? Now, what if I wrote this number down? From what I just talked to you about, is this number demonstrating an increase or a discount? A discount. And what's the discount? 20%. Because the magical number is 1.00. All right. Let's move on. And let's look at these proportions. All right, Logan. The ratio of sugar to flour is 1 to 3. Which of the following could be the total amount of sugar and flour combined with making a cake for a large crowd? Which one do you think could be the answer, Logan? B? Okay. What makes you say B?
Because it was like 1 to 3, and then each of them be
It's divisible by 4.
3. Yeah.
So, looking at this, it is divisible by 4. This, even though it said odd, or sorry, a ratio, it feels like an odd problem because there are 4 total parts. So just like we did that win to losses, there are 4 pieces that we're looking at. You with me? So if I multiply it by, let's say, a factor of what, 3 even? You could see that this would become this 12. Go with me, guys? So sugar and flour, right now I have 4 cups. So if I were to do 3 of each one, otherwise 3 of sugar and 9 of flour, it still has that proportion of 1 to 3. Do you understand what I'm saying? So 4 parts times a scale factor of 3 can get you to 12 parts. Okay. Let's go with Anya. A high school baseball team. These are the ones that are really, really frequent. And they're a little bit easier to see if you know how to set them up, okay? So a high school baseball team won 75% of 32 games they played. If they have 18 games left, how many more games would they need to win in order to increase their stats, basically their winning percentage, to 84%? Anya, help us out. How do we set this up as an equation?
So you have to find 75%
75%
of 32.
of 32. Here we go. So this is another way that I want to help you learn how to set up problems in this respect, okay? So something divided by 32 will give me 75%. Do y'all see that? So if I don't know what this is, I could put it as x. Okay, so right now what I want you to do with your calculator is I want you to multiply 0.75 times 32 and you get 24 wins. Right? Y'all see that? Okay, so I have 24 wins out of 32 to give me that 75%. Okay, Anya, keep going. How do I determine, what do I write to get 84%? So how do you know they're going to play 50 games?
Add 18 to the 32.
Yep, so they're going to play 50 games total. She's absolutely right. So it'll be 24 plus how many more games? So it'll just be X, right? So now you can, if you want, put this in your calculator exactly the way you see it. We'll say menu 3-1. We'll say control divide 24 plus X over 50 is equal to, whoops, kick out to the right, and then put equal to 0.84, comma X, and you get 18. So there should be 18 more games, and B would be the answer. Alright, so now let's move to 3. 3 is a doozy because you've got to read it carefully as far as the pieces that we're solving out. Let's go with Shane. Number 3. Henry grows peanuts and corn on his farm. Last year his crop produced 40 tons. And corn got 80 tons. Shane, what do I do if due to a drought in Texas this year, peanut crop declined by 40%, and the crop for corn declined by 50%? By what percent did his total yield and weight decline? How would you approach it? Because it's all about
You would just
that. Go ahead. Help him out, someone. Go ahead, Jack.
Would you multiply the 50% and 40% together respectively?
So here we go. 40 tons will be multiplied by a drop of 40%. And guess what I'm going to put in the parentheses? 0.6. That's a drop of 40%. Because the magic number is 1.00. And if you drop by 50%, it'll be 50% of 80. So let's do that with the calculator real quick. 40 times 0.6, we get 24. 80 times 0.5, we get 40. Marissa, what would you do from here?
So that way, you can, once the total yield, you'll add your 24 and 40 is 64.
Okay, so you have 64 tons.
Compared to your original, which is 120 tons.
Perfect. So here we go. The start or the original is right here, and this is what you end up with. So I'm going to multiply 120 with something and get 64. You with me? So then if I divide this and I say 64 over 120 and I do control enter to get my decimal answer, I get this number right here.
Subtract it
But
from
I have
one.
to subtract it from 1. Okay? So this right here shows a discount because it's, or you know what I mean, a decline because it's less than 1. So you'll say 1 minus that answer and you get 46 and 2/3%. Yes?
Just because of the nature of the question, could you adjust, because that's not how I did it. I didn't change that as 0.6, I kept it as 0.4 just because I would equal the same thing.
So here's what I'll say. If I keep this at 0.4 and whatever that is, subtract it from this one, you're still going to get 24. But the way that they're giving you information and the way that
No, I did the normal.
She kept it normally and just,
And
because
I-
it wants to decline.
It wants to
what you
decline
had was
anyway.
like, what, compared,
Oh, I
That's
see what you're
how
saying.
so
Yeah,
she didn't
the
have to
nature of the-
subtract.
I see what
never
you're saying.
had
You could do it that way as well.
Okay, just because of the way the question was phrased.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's right.
All right, number 4. Let's go with James. Number 4, we have in the previous problem, Henry wants to get the production of peanuts, okay, back to 40 tons. Okay? What was it? What did we end with peanuts, guys? Anyone? 24? So we want 24 tons to go back up to 40 tons. Okay? James, what would I do to show that increase? Okay, go ahead, Jackson.
40 over 24 minus 1.
Yep. So here we go. 24 times some kind of change would get us to 40. So we could find that change and do 40 divided by 24, and we get, right? We get this. That means because this is bigger than 1.00, we know it's an increase. And it's an increase of how much? 66 and 2/3. So the magic number 1.00, very important. Let's go now to the multi-step. Okay? Alright, Caden. Sarah's shopping for a prom dress and found that she thought was on sale of a lifetime. The dress was marked down twice. From its original price of $200, it was marked down to $160. And then the store said that they wanted to give another 40% marked down. What would be the final amount of the discount from where you started to what it would end up becoming?
Is it 40% of 160 or 40%
Of 160.
160?
Oh, okay. I didn't even do that.
So it's 40% of 160. So here we go. 160 altogether then. If I have a markdown of 40%, what number can we multiply this with? 0.6. So with your calculator, 160 times 0.6, that means it got marked down to $96. You with me? So the original one was 200, and it got marked down to 160. So that means it started at 200, multiplied by some percentage difference, and became 160. So if I did it this way, 160 divided by 200 in your calculator, you'll get 0.8. Anyone? What's the discount percentage that you just received?
Whoa. Don't you? Yeah.
You get 20%.
Supposed to do 96. Yeah. Because it's the total price divided by the original.
No, I'm not doing there yet. I'm doing just this one first.
Oh, I see. Gotcha.
Yeah. So 200 to 160, it has a 20% discount. Y'all with me?
Yeah.
And then you had this other one that was taken off, so the total discount from the beginning to the end was going to be what? So you went from 200 all the way to 96, right? So if, check it out, if we multiplied it by x and got x is 96 over 200, 96 divided by 200, you would get x is 0.48.
Yes.
And this means it was a discount of what? 52%. So listen, I'm showing you pieces at a time so that sometimes people will see this 20%, they'll see this 40%, and they'll go for 60%. But it's not a 60% markdown because it actually went all the way to 96, which out of the original one set up here would show that it was a discount of 52%. Okay? Yes?
So what was the point of finding the original one was a 20%
To show you the mistakes that people make. So 20% of the first part and then 40% of the second would lead a lot of people to pick A. And the reason why I'm saying this is because of what a lot of us missed on that last question, on the last practice PSAT. Watch. I had a number that was at 200 and I wanted to go up to 400. And I asked you, what was the percent increase between 200 that went all the way to 400? With what we're talking about today, you would start at 200, you would finish with 400, and you would multiply by some number. Okay? And obviously we see that this number is what? 2. But the magic number for today is what? 1.00. So it's easy to see that this is an increase of 53%. It's easy to see that this is a decrease of 47%. But some people get mixed up when they see whole integers and don't realize that it's not an increase of 200%, which a lot of people put. The magic number is, from here, how much did you do to get to that? A full 100%. You with me?
Oh.
Do you see it?
Yeah.
So this is a 53% increase. This would be an 80% increase. This would be a 95% increase. But this is 100% increase. Go with me? So if I had 500% increase, it would be 6.00. Go with me? Yeah.
So I just wanted to ask, once you found that first discount, couldn't you just multiply 1.2 times 0.4, then you would get that discount?
You can as well. It's just the order of what you're multiplying and what piece is your total that I'm trying to get people to understand. Because it's easy to mess them up. You know what I mean? Because odds versus ratios, that's what's happening really. But yes, you're right. Okay. Here we go. When Sarah got home, she did not like the dress that costed $96. However, the store was going to charge her a restocking fee of 10%. Holly, what would I do here? How much did Sarah get back from the store for the dress, not including sales tax? She's being charged a stocking fee of 10%. So, real quick, let me ask you this. How much was she charged in money for the restocking fee? $9.60, because 10% of that would say $9.60 is what she had to pay. But she returned it. Remember, she paid $96 for this. So, anyone, what would my answer be? It would be A. If I subtract that stocking fee, and she got almost all of her money back, there's $86.40 would be left over. Okay. Let's go now to this one right here is a good one. All right. Prom night finally arrived. Fortunately, Joseph has 4 friends who will split the limo ride with him. With a 20% tip, his part will be $228. So with 20% tip, is tip a discount or more? It's more. So it's an increase. Will be $228. What is the total cost of the limo without tip? It's basically asking, what is the original total cost? Yes, Colin.
So the tip is also split between the 4, right? Or is
Yeah.
it-
So if I'm doing a 20% tip, which is more, how do I start the setup? X times what? 1.20. You with me? I know on the other problems I was putting X as my percentage, but now I'm putting X as my original price. So you could even put O times 1.20. Okay? Is equal to, so the original will then equal the final, or the result, the end up. The start going to the end up. So 228 would go here. So now with our calculator, we're going to go 228 divided by 1.2. And x on the original is going to be $190. Okay?
Why don't you multiply it by 4 to get the total, like how much they paid total?
How much they paid total? Joseph is the fifth one. So it'll be 190 times 5, and this is the original price. All right. So now, to finish off today's notes, let's go to statistical data analysis. All right. Shh. 4 things, just to remind what they represent. Range, because of domain and range being ingrained in our heads, please don't forget that range is the highest number subtracting the bottom number. So range, the high minus the low. We're not talking about domain and range. So the highest number that we have from our data list, we're going to just subtract the bottom and we get our range. Median, it's just the middle number. List them all out, lowest to the biggest, find the middle number, and what do we do if we have 2 numbers? Just add and divide by 2. Find the average of those 2. And then mode is the most frequent. Okay? So looking at what we have here, let's look at number 6. X, Y, Z, 4, and 8 have a mean of 12. So if I want to know what is the sum, what is it that I'm going to do with the equation? Oh my gosh, my phone is, what the heck?
It's going to desktop.
Yes, it is. Okay. All right. So the mean is 12. Guys, what number goes here? 5. So we have x plus y plus z plus 4 plus 8. What do I do next? Multiply by 5, and we get this plus 12 is 60. And this is what I'm looking for. So anyone, what's the answer here? 48. Okay? All about knowing the setup and understanding how to work with that. And we did a problem with that moments ago with that whole percentage of basketball games or football games, whatever it was. Okay? Let's go to actually, we're out of time. I'll pause it there, okay? I will pause it there. Please look for Delta Math for the homework, okay? All right.